Chris up here.
How surprised were you that they were lining up for a field goal in that moment, and how pleased were you with the block and the finish of the game?
The end of the game. I was a little bit surprised by the end of the game management. I typically those aren't things that happen in those type of games. Really kind of actually got under my skin a little bit. I was glad that we were able to block it, bring it back for a touchdown. And sometimes when you do those types of things, you get what you get. And I was proud of our guys for finishing. We talk about finishing all the time in everything that we do. And for our guys, especially ones that aren't typically out there in those field goal block scenarios, to have the opportunity to execute, block it, then for Quinn to be able to go down, scoop and score, it was a fitting way for the game to end.
That was Liam, right?
Yeah, Liam got some push. Hester got some push. I mean, it was a low kick too, but they both did a good job of getting some push. And then Jabril was able to keep it alive, and Q was able to scoop and score. And it was good for those guys in that opportunity, because they don't get a ton of opportunities like that to go take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I was going to just ask about did you have to give them the encouragement going out there that this play matters, or do you think that they just had that?
No, I mean, during the timeout, we obviously had the opportunity to talk to them, which helped. Because I would say that there was absolutely guys on that field goal block unit that's never lined up to block a field goal before in practice or in a game. So, having that opportunity to kind of talk them through, they all know the scheme. It's something we put in spring ball and fall camp. And how often they've had an opportunity to do it is probably almost none, like I said, for some of them. But they went out and they did a pretty good job. And we had a little bit of a misalignment, but for guys who have never done it before, for that kind of energy and effort, and all they're looking for is an opportunity at that point in time. They're looking for a chance to put something on tape that is going to be something that opens coaches' eyes, or just their first opportunity to play. So I was really proud of the way they approached it, and I thought it was a good, like I said, statement to finish the game.
Brendan?
And then the response from the entire team after the score felt almost cathartic, given what had happened earlier in the game. I guess, what did you see from out of the team in that moment?
Well, one of the things about this particular team, and I know it's probably been said by all the coaches that have been up here talking before, but we do have a really close team. And one of the things I appreciate about our team is our older players are really invested in our younger players. And you see that kind of manifest itself in a lot of different ways, whether it's at practice and they're trying to help them, as they grow, or you see them in the locker room. Like, there's a camaraderie amongst our whole team that is real, and it's there. And our older players were as excited as anybody when they saw some of our young guys have a chance to play, and then to go out and make a play like that. I thought it's just a reflection of what kind of team this is, and the unity and the care that they show for each other.
Obviously, you guys have talked about how close the team is all year, and Jordan Travis is a huge part of that. What was your immediate reaction? How long did it take you to, just block it out and get back to the game? Because obviously you're human, so it took a little time, right?
Yeah, I speaking for myself, I had a hard time. I did not block it out. I went about and did my job, but there's a whole range of emotions that go, and it starts with just being sad for him, because first of all, everyone has their vision of how they think their senior day is going to go, and that certainly wasn't how it played out. And Jordan is such a great leader, a great person, on a personal level, the way he is with my son, every time he sees him, the way he is with my children, my daughter, they always see him after games. Just the type of person he is, the humility, the kindness, the care. You hate to see things happen to anyone, but you certainly hate to see those type of things happen to people who are just great people. And so it did, and then not to mention the fact that he's the leader of our team, and he's really the unquestioned leader of our team. So it did hurt. It hurt coaches. It hurt players. I'd be lying to say it was blocked out, because it was still lingering in your thoughts, but you do have a job to do, and you got to do it to the best of your ability.
Score.
I
think this is probably just gonna be specific to the game that was just played, but on those pooch short kickoffs, is it just an automatic to wave a fair catch? Cause I feel like Morlock he could've housed that thing if he'd have run with it.
Yeah, so, we do it a couple different ways. I mean, we have what those sky kicks, we call them, we have sky returns that are built in. If a team has a high tendency to do it a lot going into a game, we usually have a specific return design for that. We knew that there was a chance that they weren't gonna kick it deep to us. That really hadn't been their MO going into it. So with so much unknown of what they were actually gonna do when they did it, we just made the decision going into the game that this week we would fair catch if that was the case. There's been other games this season where we had a specific plan going into it, that if they do sky kick it deep, this is what we're gonna do and how we're gonna return it. So it's really just how much information we have going into the game that determines, what we do with those kicks in that situation.
With the defensive ends, you got to play a lot of guys, especially middle of third quarter on. Who stood out to you, man? Who was the best of the bunch that doesn't get to play a lot on your defense, that made the most of their opportunity, I guess?
That's you typically in a game like that, that kind of got under control for us in the second half. We're able to play a ton of people a lot, just because of the fact that we had some 3 and outs and some those guys probably didn't play as much as they would in other circumstances. I think Jane Jones played 6 plays. I thought he was very solid in the 6 plays. I thought he played hard with good energy. Hester played 4, 5, 6 plays. Lamont Green played 4, 5, 6 plays. So not enough to really tell, but I know they're all hungry for their opportunities to get out there, and I'm happy anytime we can provide those opportunities, because those guys work really hard, and they all have really bright futures here.
Kurt?
I'm sure you went into that game, hopefully you'd get Tyler an opportunity in his last game at Doak as well. I guess, I'm sure he didn't come here obviously he didn't come here wanting to be the backup, but what have you seen him do this season? How much of an asset has he been to Ryan, and how nice was it to get him that moment?
Well, I mean, the way Tyler has handled himself since he's gotten here has been tremendous. He knew coming into it, I'm always very clear and upfront with how things are, that it would be a competition, and Ryan understood that as well. And like any competition, there's going to be somebody that wins and somebody that doesn't. And I think he's handled all of it with a great team mindset. He's been very classy. He's been a good friend to Ryan, all of that. And he's been a supportive teammate. And I did want to get him an opportunity to go out there, because unlike other positions on the field, you can't just kind of free sub, your kickers. And that we were able to have the opportunity to get him a kick, regardless of what happens in the future. He's going to go down and scoring a point at Florida State. And that was important to me, just to be able to give that for him, because I think he deserved that opportunity to be out there, because the way he's handled himself, and I think he's a really good player. So we'll see. We don't know what the future holds, but we'll see where that goes.
Dustin?
This year Patrick Payne only has 3 sacks, but 9 batted balls at the line. Obviously, I don't know if is that coached, or is that just kind of instincts for him, as well as kind of combination of both?
I think it's probably a combination of both, from the standpoint that, we do emphasize getting our hands up in throw lanes. We drill it, we practice it. It's always, it's a part of every day's practice. But also Pat, with his length, obviously, his height and his arm length, he has a great skill set for that, but he also has a great feel for the game. Pat, I've said it, a bunch of times, he has as good a feel for how to play the game as really anyone I've been around, in terms of his instincts and how he has feels for blocks, for pass rush, for getting his hands up at the right time. And I think the fact that he has, I think it's 9 pass breakups, is a reflection of that skill set and those instincts.
Jordan?
Coach, can you just talk about what you saw on the fake punt and whether or not you guys expected to see it in that moment?
Yeah, if I'm being really blunt about it, it was really a poor decision on my part to leave the punt return unit out there. They're at their own 22-yard line. It was 3rd and 7, I think, going into the play. My mindset was, get our punt pressure unit ready. When it went to 4th and 1, I should have put the brakes on it and said, no, let's just go punt safe. I didn't. Obviously in hindsight, I regret not doing it, because that goes against kind of some of the things that I believe in. But I made a calculated risk that ended up being a poor risk at the time. They were able to convert, and it's one of those situations that I'll grow from and learn from. I know better, and just they ended up taking a chance, and it paid off for them.
A lot of times, after significant injuries or setbacks, teams can kind of rally together even more than before. Did you see any of that in the second half? Like, what did you see from the team when you guys came back Sunday?
I think we got a team with a lot of resolve, who, in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different situations, we always use the term response in our program, and we find a way to respond as a team. And I didn't really have any questions or doubts in terms of how our guys would come out and respond. And then they do need the time to go through their process in terms of how they, their feelings, emotions, how they feel about all of it. And I know this, that on Saturday and for the rest of this year, we're gonna have we've always had a motivated team, but we're gonna have a team that has a purpose to go out and represent. I really am not concerned with how we'll respond, because I do know who these guys are and what they're all about, and they're a tough group.
Okay, thanks, Coach.